A 14-year-old girl shot by Taliban gunmen in Pakistan. A society outraged and a renewed debate about the rights of women in a country where custom, religious belief and the rule of law are often in conflict. This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Mike Hanna. There's been intense public reaction in Pakistan to the shooting of a 14-year-old schoolgirl by Taliban gunmen. Malala Yousafzai was shot and seriously injured on her way home from school in the Swat Valley in the northwest of the country. Yousafzai had come to public attention at the age of 11 when she publicly criticized the Pakistan Taliban for its violent action against girls' schools in the area that it then controlled, and she became the first recipient of Pakistan's National Peace Award for Youth. Nicole Johnston has more.
Across the Swat Valley, many people are outraged by the Taliban's attack on Malala Yousafzai. She was shot by gunmen as she travelled home from school in a van on Tuesday. Private schools closed for the day in protest. Students gathered to pray for her.
Malala is like our sister. We pray for her earliest recovery and well-being. We also pray that other students can benefit from Malala's enlightened views.
The terrorists fired bullets at her. To suppress her voice, but their attempt failed. We pray from the bottom of our hearts for her early recovery.
The attack is front-page news in Pakistan. The Taliban has released this statement.
If anyone thinks that Malala was targeted because of education, that's absolutely wrong and propaganda from the media. Malala was targeted because of her pioneering role in preaching secularism and so-called enlightened moderation, and whoever does so in the future will also be targeted.
Pakistan's government has condemned the attack. Its president, Asif Ali Zardari, said Yousafzai should get medical treatment in Dubai, but she doesn't have a passport and is too unstable to be moved. Judges are investigating the shooting. Yousafzai is unconscious at the moment while she recovers from an operation. A bullet was removed from her body, close to her spinal cord. 2 other girls were also wounded in the shooting. If Malala Yousafzai recovers, her life will still be in danger. She remains a target for the Taliban. Nicole Johnston for Inside Story.
There have been many instances of clashes between tribal law, custom and a democratic constitution in Pakistan. But in claiming responsibility for this shooting, the Pakistani Taliban made clear the motive was rooted in a particular interpretation of Islamic law. In an official statement, the group spokesman Ehsan Ullah Ehsan said, and I quote, "The Pakistani Taliban successfully targeted Malala Yousafzai in Mingora, although she was young and a girl, and Taliban does not believe in attacking women. But whomsoever leads any campaign against Islam and Sharia is ordered to be killed by Sharia." He continues, "It is not merely allowed to kill such a person, but it is obligatory in Islam." So what does this mean to the rule of law in Pakistan and the role of those who are supposed to apply it? To answer this question, we're joined by our 3 guests. In Islamabad, Rubina Khalid, a senator with the Pakistan People's Party. In Manchester, Amjad Malik. He's the chairman of the Association of Pakistani Lawyers, UK. He's also a member of the Supreme Court Bar Association of Pakistan. Also in Islamabad, Mariam Fatima Khan. She's the woman coordinator for Pakistan International Human Rights Organization. Welcome to you all. Let's begin with Mariam Fatima Khan. Your initial reaction to the shooting?
It was very tragic and it was very sad. And the message that it sent throughout to the country, to the women in the country, was especially tragic in my view, because it was something that is curbing their social, political, and their religious right to learn and to get education.
Well, Rubina Khalid, what was your initial response?
I was shocked, and I feel ashamed at the moment because we could not protect her, and because she was fighting a fight that should have been fought by us. We should have been in the front line, not her, because she's just 14 years old, and I still cannot comprehend as to what kind of mindset would target a 14-year-old.
Well, Amjad Malik, who was supposed to protect this 14-year-old? What is the authority that is applied in the area where she was shot?
First of all, I condemn that attack. It was, I think, it was barbaric, wild, and it damages the softer image and softer picture of Pakistan, which Malala was representing. I think it was the duty of the government of the day to protect her, knowing fully well that she is the holder of the International Peace Award for writing her diaries, and they have failed to protect her.
Well, Rabina Khalid, that issue of the government failing to protect her, we are talking about an area that is in control of central government. It is not like one of the federally affiliated tribal areas, for example.
Yes, I was in Peshawar in the morning, and I went to the hospital to meet the family. They were offered this protection, but they refused to take it. So in a way, you cannot really put all the blame on the government, and it is very easy for everybody to point their fingers at the government. Basically, it is a mindset that we are fighting. It is a mindset that has to be changed, and we will change it. We have to. It is high time that we should all get together and face this problem and own it as our own, instead of blaming it on different ways that it is coming from somewhere else, it's been imported from somewhere else. It is a problem that is Pakistan's own problem, and we should own it.
Well, Mariam Fatima Khan, do you think it's fair to point fingers? Did the government have a responsibility for this 14-year-old and all the other people in Swat and other areas of the country that the government nominally controls?
I would defer with the senator, because the government is not only responsible to offer protection to one family, the government is responsible, according to the parental theory of the state, for the entire nation and for the whole population of the state. The government is supposed to put things in order at home. So I don't think that there should be a general peace prevalent in the whole country. It should not be for one family or for one particular individual or for one community. It should be for all the 14 years old, for all the teenagers, for all the college and university students, and the old and the young, all the people in the country.
Well, Amjad Malik, it would appear to be too simple to simply point fingers at the government and say, you did not protect the people in that particular area. But that is an oversimplification of the complicated scenario that we do find in many areas of Pakistan, where there is conflict between traditions, between the rule of law. Is this a fundamental issue? Well,
I think it's commonly known areas where the problem is escalating. Journalists are being killed. Ladies are barred from attending colleges. It was government's own manifesto when they came in power that they will try to extend the writ of the government as well as the writ of the constitution, so as the courts to the areas which are governed by FCR regulation, which is quite old. I personally think it's been 4.5 years. They have failed to extend the government's writ in that areas, and due to not having the government's writ or the Supreme Court access to those areas, the problems are escalating, and militants regroup and try to intimidate by these kind of actions. And I think government should own responsibility, and there was only two ways by doing it. One is defeat the mindset, as one of the senators has said, and second is defeat it with actions, not by words.
Well, Rabina Khalid, if you'd like to pick up on that, agreement with changing the mindset of these people, but also change it by action. Do you think enough has been done?
You know, things are harder to do than to say just things sitting in Manchester. What I have concluded that this this gentleman is sitting in Manchester right now. So we here on ground, things are different. We are in guerrilla warfare. And a guerrilla warfare, everybody knows what it is, and it is very difficult to protect each and every citizen because we are in a war and we are not yet in a war. So you cannot, it is not conventional warfare when you have front lines and you have covering your the war zones, but it can happen anywhere, anytime. It is a difficult time for us. We also want to do everything that we are, and we are doing everything that we can do for it, but we have to fight a certain mindset. You know, the same mindset then when Salman Taseer was killed, the killer was you know, made a hero, and then recently this Imran Khan's long march, whatever it was, into the South Waziristan in support of these people. He says that we should sit down and have a dialogue with them. You tell me whether you can have a dialogue with a person or with a mindset who thinks that shooting a 14-year-old in the head is okay. Can you talk to such a mindset?
Well, Amjad Malik, your response to that, is it possible for any form of dialogue with those who commit these acts?
Well, it was part of Rubina's party's policy. Their Prime Minister in the parliament said 3D policy, dialogue, deterrent and development. So I don't know what qualms she has now. I personally think that they could have extended the writ of the government, the constitution and the courts to that areas. They could have de-radicalized that region by bringing in education, by bringing in more development, economic reforms, and reforming the political agent system. They have let the militants take over, let the militants wipe out all the existing system which was in place in those regions, the 7 districts and the bordering area 6 districts. If these top heroes of Pakistan who are representing the softer image, representing the gender equality, education, and some sort of stability, if they can't protect them, then you can't passport and send them abroad for their safety. You'll have to run a country, and countries run by policies and some actions which tells that the policies which were given in manifesto are being implemented. I personally think the government didn't do much on that policy which they set when they went into election, that they will bring Fatah in the mainstream fold of Pakistani constitution.
In all fairness, one must point out that the government of the time did wage a massive campaign in Swat, did drive Pakistan Taliban out of many of the areas, and did re-establish a form of control. But Mariam Fatima Khan, the issue that we are here about changing mindsets of people, about creating a scenario in which people do not become targets for reasons for what a person will decide is the law in a particular area, even though it's religiously based. Is it possible to change minds, do you believe?
I would believe that this is very important, and this is the high time that we change the mindsets and we clarify ourselves as peaceful and peace-loving people. I would like to draw your attention and the international community's attention to the fact that we Muslims, we are by nature peaceful people. We should be peaceful. We should promote education. And this was the message of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, to promote education, and we should not stick to the orthodox ideas. Whosoever is propagating them, whosoever is killing in the name of Islam, they should understand that Sayyidina Umar Farooq was sent as a teacher to the house of Ansar ladies to educate them. And this is the highest and loftiest example in the history of Islamic, in the Islamic history, to make people realize that we Muslims as a nation should stand for education. We should do everything that promotes education, and for that our governments are responsible. As a government, as a government and as a Muslim nation, that they promote education, take all the steps to protect the people, and not to allow them to become victims at the hands of the people who challenge the writ of the country.
Amjad Malik, is it fair to say that the government is struggling with a situation here where you do have custom, you do have traditions, you do have a certain way of life in particular areas, which some, for religious reasons, may act on using religion as a stated motive, which we do have in this particular case. But how is it possible to separate out this religious motivation with what is accepted custom and tradition in certain places?
Well, I personally think that there is no issue about religion. People respect religious writ and religious laws, but the customs, some of the customs which dictate the administration of justice, I personally think there is a big room of argument of miscarriage of justice. I think the system needs to be reformed. When a surgical operation takes place, army goes in, tries to bring calm. When they come back, because it is not coupled with political, economic and other social reforms, then the system collapses again and militant takes over. They dictate terms and they then put restrictions, for example, not letting the ladies to go for education, their own customs and traditions, their own jirga system controlling how they're going to penalize, how they're going to bring prosecutions, how they're going to fine people. A lot of complaints about couples, families, one person is a victim but the whole family is punished, children are punished, and fines, heavy fines are imposed, and without involvement of any court, only by jirga. I personally think customs should be respected, but they should be brought into the mainstream framework. Political parties should be allowed to go in, canvass, in order to change that mindset, and also the writ of the government, so that people can complain, and there should be some sort of justice system so that people can go in the Supreme Court. If Supreme Court can take notice in Balochistan, Karachi, and everywhere, why not FATA? Why not these areas where there is still an issue of radicalization, still an issue of militancy, and why Malala Yousafzai was given an impression that she's safe, and why was she not kept aloof from these militants? I personally think people like Malala, late Arfa Karim, or Aline Moin Nawazish, these are the future leaders of Pakistan, and they should be saved. That's why I really urge the government of Pakistan, all other law-abiding people, to pray for her and to take actions to save her, because she is truly representing Pakistan's true face.
Well, I just want to go to Rabina Khalid at this particular point to respond to some of the things that you said. Rabina Khalid, do you think it is possible, and indeed necessary, to resolve that sometime contradiction between customary tradition and what should be the rule of law? Is this an area, do you think, where that mind should be changed and that the government could be doing more in terms of educating people as to this?
Our customary laws have some flaws in them, but this incident had nothing to do with our traditions and customary laws, because this was the work of a certain mindset. It had got nothing to with our cultural values or our Pushtun code of conduct, because the Pushtun code of conduct, as you know, I belong to the region, it very clearly states that in times of war, the women and children are not to be touched. So I do not know where this thing is coming from. And as for the safety of the child, Swat is relatively now a very safe area, but as I've said before, in a guerrilla warfare, you really cannot predict or protect a person. We could not. The same thing happened to Benazir Bhutto, and I've been told today that this girl, the thing that these Taliban had against her, because she had made a statement that President Obama and Benazir Bhutto Shaheed were her ideals, and she was told to not to say these things, because as you know that a woman is not a respectable member of the society. For them, they think that she should be just kept inside the house and not be seen and not be heard. So basically it has got nothing, we should not confuse it with our traditional jirga system. The jirga system had got nothing to do with it. It may have its own flaws, but in this case we should not be condemning the jirga system.
Well, the point may fairly made. Mariam Fatima Khan, though, this whole issue, does it also arise from a situation where women are treated in an inferior way? You do have a specific case here where clearly it was a religious motivation, which many would have argued was completely misguided, and some would say totally irreligious. But at the same time, is there an aspect to this that it is rooted in a cultural diminishing of women as people within the society that has to change?
I would say with pride that there is a transition in our society. Pakistan's society is in the process of transformation. And I see many illiterate parents striving hard and working in shifts and part-time to be able to send their children and their daughters to school.
Rabina Khalid, your view of this, sorry, carry on, Mariam Fatima Khan, finish your point.
Yeah. So I meant to say that this is changing. This is not the correct. This is not how we put it correctly. That Pakistani society, they want to isolate women. Pakistan is a society where the women, they are there in parliament in a large number, and this is a society where we had a women prime minister. But I would say that definitely the cultural values are there. However, they are not that oppressing today as we are changing. And it's a moment of pride for us. But as the senator pointed, I would agree that there is a mindset which is working to undermine this process.
Well, Rabina Khalid, do you share this point of pride that there is change despite horrific events like this, that the society is changing?
There is definitely a change, and Malala Yousafzai is an example of that change, because she stood up against all those odds and she said, no, I want to be educated, I want to go to school. If you go through her interviews of the past, she narrates the story of going to school without uniform, but going in other clothes rather than the uniform, as not to be noticed by the Taliban. So the change is there, and that day will come that we will overcome these things. But we have to fight it with more vigor now.
Well, Amjad, Malik, do you see this change happening, that despite these events, there is certainly, we've heard from people in the show, the real desire for change, and the fact that somebody like Malala was actually fighting for it?
Well, I personally think that post-2007, people have advanced and canvassed for change, and media growth and this political activity has strengthened that drive. But still, if you look at the proportion of representation of women, looking at the population, it doesn't meet the requirement. I think women should be given more chances in employment and a safe environment of employment, more chances of representation where they can independently and safely can cater for themselves. At the moment, it's not equal and it's not free everywhere. Some portion, big cities, big districts have more opportunities for women. However, the more you go in rural areas or some the tribal belts in Balochistan or KPK, the women starts going in the sideline. But still, there is a more need. Encouraging news keep coming that women are advancing in the field of education, journalism. A lot of parliamentarians in the parliament now. But it's good, and it was always encouraging to see Benazir Bhutto representing Pakistan. So as others, other leaders' daughters are coming forward. I personally think gradually, if we keep on the right side of it, things will improve. But we'll have to keep pushing for it, because acid attacks and other side of negative stories also undermine and intimidate that drive.
Well, Rabina Khalid, do you believe that reference that we heard there to negative stories undercut this drive to change within Pakistan?
Yes, I agree. We should be coming up with more positive side of the thing. We are making a change, we are making a big breakthrough, but as we have already said in the beginning, we have many challenges to face. It is not only the law and order situation. We have other problems, as you all know. What we are going through every day is a new fight for us, and we have to fight it and naturally we need support, and I would love to invite Mr. Malik, if he would come to Pakistan and join us in putting this thing forward more. Because if all the people, broad-minded people sitting outside Pakistan, if they come and join us, we would be able to perform better.
Well, at that particular point, thanks to our guests in Islamabad, Rubina Khalid, in Manchester, Amjad Malik, and also in Islamabad, Mariam Fatima Khan. And thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Inside Story. If you want to send us your feedback, just email your thoughts to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. I'm Mike Hanna, and from everyone here, thanks again for watching. Goodbye for now.